the crazy, weird wokeness inside Microsoft appears to be just ramping up bit by bit. There was a time last summer where Microsoft had laid off a handful of people in one particular diversity group. And every news outlet in all the land declared from the rooftops, Microsoft ends DEI, Microsoft ends diversity programs, they laid them all off, it's over. And the Lunduke Journal, I reached out to some of my sources in Microsoft and confirmed that that was wildly inaccurate reporting, that it was just a handful of people that had been let go. It was unrelated to DEI stuff, really, and that Microsoft was in fact doubling down on DEI. I was the only outlet that covered it that way. The only one in the whole of the universe. And now it seems like that's been proven right. We've seen a whole bunch of stuff happening just over the last several weeks. And here's another round of it. Inside of Minecraft, which is run by Microsoft, Mojang, the company that builds Minecraft, was sold to Microsoft many years back. And Microsoft has added DEI messaging into the loading screen for Minecraft, right? The loading screen, little main menu there, famously always has like a seemingly randomly selected little phrase that just is kind of goofy and nerdy and whatnot. Well, someone noted that not too long ago, at least with a build that came out just a few months ago, one of the messages was educate your friends on anti-racism. Now, it's pretty DEI messaging. The idea behind anti-racism is not to be not racist. The idea of anti-racism is to be racist, but against white people. That's the idea of anti-racism. It's bizarre. It's weird that they would coin the phrase anti-racism. It's very double-speaky, 1984-y, but anti-racism is racism, right? Notch, the guy who created Minecraft and made a great deal of money selling it to Microsoft, when asked who the beep writes things like that, things like educate your friends on anti-racism, Notch responded, people who don't realize that they're being evil. Yeah. So Notch came out and said that declaring things like educate your friends on anti-racism in the Minecraft starting screen is evil. It's an evil thing to do. I think good on Notch, man. Good on Notch for coming out and taking a stand like that. And it should be noted that this is not the first time that Microsoft has added these in. This isn't brand new. In fact, back in 2020, so 5 years ago, they had the following lines. These are all real things that were added into the Minecraft starting screen. Black Lives Matter, be anti-racist, learn about allyship, speak out against injustice, and up for equality. Amplify and listen to BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color voices. Educate your friends on anti-racism. That one's been in there a while. Support the BIPOC community and creators. Stand up for equality in your community. Be anti-racist, right? Just a whole lot of very Marxist DEI-related things that got shoved into the Minecraft loading screen there. And it's been around for a while. I think they've modified those lines a little bit over the years, so they've been actively changing them, but some of those lines, at least, are still around. The good news is that Notch is coming out, the guy who created Minecraft, and saying that that's evil. I mean, right? Maybe the people who make it don't realize how evil they're being, according to Notch, but that's evil. And I would agree with Notch that is evil. Now, whether or not they know they're being evil, we could debate that until the cows come home, but that certainly is happening. And the Microsoft game studios, of which there are many, appear to be kind of a hotbed for general extreme leftist politics. It seems to be ramping up. Just to point this out, the Overwatch development team. Now, many of you may not realize this, but the game Overwatch is Microsoft. It's part of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard, and that team, the whole Overwatch development team, is now unionized. I'm going to read this little quote here. This is from May 9th, just a few days ago. Overwatch game developers secure union recognition with Communication Workers of America. Nearly 200 game developers behind Activision Blizzard's hit franchise Overwatch have joined the Communication Workers of America, becoming the largest group of video game workers at Microsoft-owned studios to form a wall-to-wall union. Microsoft has recognized the union from one of the organizing committee members. It was empowering to know that our coworkers next door at World of Warcraft had already successfully gone through the process. Again, World of Warcraft, Blizzard, Microsoft. It's all Microsoft now. Now, what's interesting about this, really interesting, is, quote, according to that union, over 2,600 workers at Microsoft-owned game studios have formed a union with that specific union, the Communication Workers of America. Holy heavens. And those have been recognized by corporate Microsoft. A few things here. First, wildly different than the Microsoft I knew when I worked there a quarter of a century ago. I've always had my issues with Microsoft. I've always had my complaints about Microsoft. They do a lot of things I don't agree with from a business standpoint, from a tech standpoint, from an employee standpoint. Always have. But Microsoft was always very anti-union, right? It was very, very anti-union. And there was a large period of time where Microsoft tried to stay, at least internally, non-political. It tried. And it tried to avoid unions in the process. Now, unionizing is becoming an increasing trend within Microsoft departments, with over 2,600 Microsoft employees now part of a union. That's crazy. That's a union shop. Wild. Now, one of the other interesting things here, this is Overwatch, right? This is specifically talking about the team behind Overwatch. That is the same team where a particular artist working for Activision Blizzard on Overwatch was encouraging people to, quote, kill your local MAGA. This is a real thing. We had Microsoft Blizzard artists calling for the murder of Trump voters just earlier this year. And when you look through the list of people who have supplied quotes and have been involved in the unionizing of divisions within Microsoft, like Activision Blizzard, like Overwatch here, if you start just looking up their names, I'm not going to do it right now in front of you because I don't want to call any undue attention and make anyone feel like I'm doxing them or whatnot, even though it's all publicly available material. But if you just do quick searches on X or on Google or whatnot for their names, you will find two things. One is a flurry of angry, sometimes violent suggestions of wishing harm upon conservatives, Republicans, right-leaning people, Trump voters, etc. That seems to be an overwhelmingly common thing among people who have been involved in all of this. And second, you will tend to find pronouns in their bios on social media, rainbow and LGBTQ and trans flags being flown. All of those things all tend to be happening together, right? Those are they're just as a commonality between not all, but most of the people involved in the unionization here. And it's just worth pointing that out, because what we're talking about here is people who would put in messages into video games like educate your friends on anti-racism, Black Lives Matter, and learn about allyship, while flying the trans flag and declaring to everyone that they need to, kill your local MAGA. So this is sort of what's happening within the games divisions inside Microsoft right now. And a lot of people would argue that, you're seeing a reduction in quality of the output games from these divisions, from these game studios, and that maybe this is part of the reason why. Maybe. I've heard that from many people, and there's certainly some logic to that. But regardless, the working environments within inside Microsoft are trending towards being a union shop, being a place where people can actively promote violence towards right-wing people, Trump voters and the like, and at the same time, just kind of generally promote DEI-related stuff. This is, again, an ongoing thing at Microsoft. Just lots and lots and lots of things like this, culturally, not leftist, but leftist extremist ideas within Microsoft as a company. It's very, very bizarre to watch this happen within Microsoft at a time when so many companies, Meta and IBM and Red Hat and many others, are dealing with the fallout of their own DEI related policies and almost trying to backtrack away from them because they got lawsuits and all sorts of stuff going on. But Microsoft, no. Microsoft's whole hog, man. They're doubling down on this. It's fascinating to watch. I kind of wonder if it will continue. How far can Microsoft take the extreme culture war that they're pushing internally on their own employees? They're encouraging their employees to get their children gender transitioned because they're encouraging all employees to have trans children. They're encouraging their employees to be aromantic, meaning to not have more kids because they don't have romantic feelings towards other people, which is a kind of a prerequisite to having kids, to push DEI ideas on people, to threaten people, to create an environment where people would be encouraged to threaten other people with the wrong politics. And now they're a union shop too. It's wild. It's absolutely wild that this is occurring. And I'll keep tabs on it. If you are within Microsoft and you have seen some of this, reach out to me. Go to lunduke.com, scroll to the bottom of the page. It's a very small page on purpose. I like a good, simple website. Click on the Become a Tech Whistleblower link, and there's some instructions there on how to get a hold of me anonymously, or just email me directly. My email address is right on the bottom of the website, and send stuff over, screenshots, internal documents, and videos, whatever, and we can work on how to get those published while maintaining your anonymity, right? Your privacy, so that no one at your company knows that you were responsible for getting those leaked out to the public. Because realistically, sunlight is the best disinfectant here. When you've got companies engaging in these sometimes difficult and annoying and extremely political policies that can lead to problems within the corporation. But some of these policies are outright illegal, right? Some of these policies cause severe legal consequences, and sunlight is a good disinfectant when we're dealing with those sorts of things. So getting them out there in the public is a great idea. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for allowing me to do this work. Go to lunduke.com and click on some links. You love links very much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.